Hello everyone and welcome back to the Gaelic Lives podcast. We're looking ahead to the All-Ireland final this week. It's Errigal Ciaran taking on Coola of Dublin and Croke Park. And I'm delighted to be joined by Paul Courtney, who has played club football in Dublin and Tyrone, so the perfect man to give us a bit of insight into this game. Paul, perfect man to give us a bit of insight. How's your memory of club football in Dublin and that?
Yeah, it was. I played in first in Jude's in Temple Oak for 4 years. Lived in Dublin for the guts of 10 years, and transferred to them for 4 years. And yeah, it was great. With a great group of lads, and there was a great team spirit and morale. There was probably 7 or 8 lads from outside of Dublin that was in the club. There was Longford, Wicklow, Antrim, Sligo as well, Cork. So yeah, there was lads from everywhere, but I suppose the thing that probably look at most back was just the camaraderie was brilliant. Like, you were working all different areas of Dublin City, but for 3 or 4 days a week you were going to training and you were knocking lumps out of one another, but you're having the crack after. And the games were on Saturday night, so you tended to go for a few beers after the games on the Saturday. Maybe it's Saturday at 5 o'clock, I think the games were, most of them. Whenever it got into the summer, so it was good. It was good that way there, and again, the quality of the football. I suppose whenever I was playing for Ballyhagan, my first year with the seniors was proper year. Championship was 02, and we were a senior team, but it was only 16 then. Only played a half. It was a baptism of fire against Crossmaglen in the senior championship in Ballymena, actually in 02, and then 03 we played Cullyhanna in the first round of the championship in Ballymena as well, actually. But those were my only 2 tastes of senior football with Ballyhagan, and then we were intermediate. So it's not really a good comparison in terms of Armagh club football in senior championship level versus Dublin or even Tyrone. But the standard in Dublin there was serious now for those few years. Again, we played Coola back then, but back then there was a real focus on hurling. That was, I think it was 2016 we played them, and they may have won the All-Ireland Club that year, I'm not sure, but there wasn't and didn't seem to be a major focus on the football back then. But Colin O'Callaghan was playing then, and he was something else for such a young lad. But again, just the quality was great. You had those great St Vincent's teams back then with Dermot Connolly and those guys. You had the Crokes teams, which are always good. They had a couple of All-Ireland Club wins even back then. One was 2009, so they still had a lot of that team that was going into that. And Plunkets with the Brogans. So you had a lot of real top quality teams that you were playing against week in, week out. So it is. So no, it was great. And then Tyrone, I suppose I was down to Trellick to play Dads and Lads. Was retired from Ballyhagan, and then ended up playing a bit of football with them. So that for a couple of seasons. And again, one of the major factors I noticed in Tyrone was the amount of people and supporters that would go to a league game even. It's like a league game in Tyrone is life or death. It's like you might have 800,000-900,000 people at a league game, and the gates would be, you get a serious lift at the gate. Whereas even back in Dublin, I remember we were playing league games and maybe 30-40 people were at them. So it just shows you the difference there in terms of the support. Again, whenever you're going into smaller sort of counties, no, Tyrone wouldn't be necessarily a smaller county, but whenever you're in a parish type environment, everybody is singing off the one hymn sheet and everybody supports the club. So that would be a big factor there in Tyrone there as well. So yeah, look, great experiences there with Dublin, especially because I was living down there and didn't have family down there at the time. It was just myself and the wife, and it was great social life and whatever. But I suppose then the Tyrone side again, just different even with the family and be able to bring the kids to the games and them to be able to see the level of support there is and how serious it is taken. But also then you have that good social side of it too then with the fellas. So no, it was good. It was great.
And obviously looking ahead to this Sunday, Paul, I know that Both sides were out last Saturday night, and Errigal had to come through extra time to get into the final. So it's a quick turnaround. I know we were talking on Monday's podcast, just even for supporters, it's a quick turnaround just to sort of soak it all in and get flags up about the clubs and stuff like that. But for the players, it isn't really that lot. There's not going to be much training done, I'm sure, this week. So. They probably would have preferred 2 weeks, but I suppose they have to just accept the quick turnaround that they have.
Yeah, and I heard a couple of guys. I was listening to Paddy Andrews and James O'Donoghue on their podcast, and they were saying that because the Errigal game went to extra time, that's going to maybe be a limiting factor for the final because they've maybe a few injuries picked up or cramp and whatever. But I would sort of back Errigal more on that side and said they've gone through some serious tests. Like the last game, extra time, I would be looking at, and I'd be looking at the positive and saying, here lads, we went through extra time. We got better as the game went on. We're obviously in serious shape. We get the ice baths tomorrow or tonight or whatever it was. We'll do another recovery session the day after. They're probably then on the pitch then on Tuesday and probably doing a late running session. They'll probably go a bit harder on Thursday, tomorrow night, and then the game will be on Sunday. Like, there's no doubt, like those boys are conditioned just as well as any county team, and they're going to prepare as well as any other county team. So I don't think it's going to be a factor at all, whether it was 6, 7, 8 days, unless somebody has picked up a soft tissue injury like a hamstring or a calf. I know that Cormac Quinn went off, which looked like cramp, and you would hope for him then it is just cramp. But I suppose you wouldn't want to like the run after Conor Ciaran if you had a wee niggle in you, especially in the calf or whatever. But I genuinely think that it's a positive that for them that they get through extra time, that they seem to get better as the game went on. They won the game and they've got through some serious tests. The Cooley game, they just do enough. They just look to me like a team that is obviously a serious team, massive potential in terms of a huge number of their players. Conor Ciaran, one of the top 3 forwards in Ireland, but just going back to they'll sit back. They don't seem to blow anybody away. They let nearly teams come back at them like they did in the Leinster Club final and the semi-final there as well. But they just seem to do enough and they'll plug away. So I don't think that the 8 days is going to be a major issue for either team in terms of their recuperation and preparation, as long as there's no soft tissue injuries. And yeah, I think it'll be a cracker. I do.
Paul, just 2 men you'd mentioned there. Obviously, Conor Ciaran is somebody we have to talk about from a cooler perspective, but sort of initially had it that Cormac Quinn was going to be probably the man to pick him up. I know he's their sort of go-to man marker, but you'd mentioned, I think it was cramp he come off with last week, but just you said about you wouldn't fancy running after Conor Ciaran maybe at the best of times, but if you're carrying maybe a bit of a knock or you're just not 100%, it sort of raises the question, do you think will Errigal go with Cormac Quinn, or do they maybe move Ben McDonald back into the defence? They've done that before, and he maybe have the physical strength for Conor Ciaran. So I suppose there's a lot of question marks for Enda McGinley about how he puts out that particular fire.
Yeah, well, I'd say definitely now they'll be watching and keeping a tight eye on him. You'll obviously have Niall Kelly, Ben McDonald probably dropping back and maybe acting as a couple of sweepers on either side of him. That could be potentially what they're going to do. I suppose what people need to remember too is, like Errigal have 7 or 8 lads out around the county panel last year. Like they have guys who have conditioned at that county standard for the last 12 months as well. So they'll be used to looking at these marquee key forwards. Again, like Con, like he's a serious operator. Like again, like you look at Callaghan's and you look at the Callaghan's. Ciaran scored 113 between them. The Ciaran scored 0.8, but like 110 from Callaghan's was from play. 0.8 from not 5 from the Callaghan's was from play. But like I was chatting with my father-in-law about it, and he said something funny, and I thought it was funny anyway. He said like the way the Crooks played was like playing Russian roulette, only with a fully loaded gun.
Yeah.
They weren't protecting their defence at all. And Coola will not let that happen. Like people are saying Cannibals are going to get the space, they'll find the space, and they definitely will find space. Of course they will. I'm sure they'll have a great game because Croke Park's a different animal than any other pitch as well. And they'll have great experience playing Croke Park as well. They'll have no fear. But the thing is that people need to remember that Coola have played Crokes in the Dublin Club final. Shane Walsh and Paul Mannion were playing for Crokes. Like two of them guys in the top 10 forwards in Ireland. And they shut them down. Like Mick Fitzsimmons is going to mark Dara, I'm sure. I'm not sure who's going to pick up Rory, but probably their sixth, who's very strong, very athletic as well. Might try and put him in the back foot. But there's one thing for sure. Cooler are going to bring everything in. If they want to dart in from the sides like they did against Crokes, because they were pulling very wide, they were keeping the space in the middle. The two boys were darting in left and right, and they were getting chances. They're going to come in and they're going to hit a wall. And unless they can score from 40 yards, which they can, I would say they'll be happy enough. If they're shooting from 40, 45 yards, they'll be happy enough. But again, it's probably just about how they manage. It's about how Coola manage the two Cannavans and how Errigal manage the two O'Callaghan's. But I think that both teams will sit tight. They'll definitely play sweepers. I would say Errigal will probably play two sweepers, either side of the O'Callaghan's, and definitely one full time in front of Colin. And then you're looking at the Cannavans, like there's nothing more sure that Coola are going to keep it tight, very structured, well managed, well coached. Like they are going to keep it tight. Like, so I think for me as a defensive minded player, I would be intrigued by that. For maybe a person who has no skin in the game, they might say this isn't for me today, because it might turn out maybe 12 points to 11 or maybe 110 to 12 points, something like that. If it's a cracker every game, we're all in for a treat. Amazing. Like if nobody plays sweepers, great. But I suppose the way the game is now, without these new rules, I think it will be tight. I think it will be tense as well. But again, it's different horses for different courses. I actually don't mind that type of game. I don't mind watching that game because I am intrigued. But it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting.
I suppose that the Coola setup that you're talking about, Paul, they're maybe going to use that Kilcoo blueprint, because obviously you had Kilcoo held the Cannavans to a single point, while as you'd mentioned, Dr. Crokes, they conceded 113 off the Cannavans. So Coola, they're maybe going to adopt the Kilcoo approach. They're going to drop players behind the ball. They're going to double up, triple up on the Cannavans and make sure that they don't get the space. But then I suppose against Kilcoo, there was other players then stepped up to score for Errigal. You had obviously Peter McCartan that scored the equaliser last week as well. You have Peter Harte there. You have Joe Goose, who's got a couple of goals this year too. So whatever way Coola set up, I think Errigal will feel that they have enough power, enough scoring power throughout the field that they can still win this game.
Yeah, I do. Like, and again, there's probably, like, listening to that podcast from Paddy Andrews and James O'Donoghue, they were sort of saying if Coola hold the Cannavans, then they'll definitely win the game. But I don't know about that, like, because the Cannavans they're going to score their frees. They're going to get frees, right? They're going to score their frees. They'll probably score, even if they're held tight, you like to think they'll score 1 or 2 points each. Like Ben McDonald popped up with 3 points. Again, the Donegal team, I forget who that was in the first round of the Ulster Club.
Letterkenny.
And like he popped up out of nowhere, and you're just like, well, there's that. Then Joe Goose comes up with a goal there the other day, and a point, and it was a fantastic point as well. It was an inspirational point coming in then from the end line, the fisting it over. I just think that they have more power than what people are actually giving them credit for. Even coming off from the back again, like talking about Peter McCartan, and even now Kelly. No, now Kelly's not going to become a bombing up forward too much, but he will support the play. Like he will go to the end line, and he will sit back in his favour, but he will go to the end line as well. There's guys there that they have there that will definitely press and will definitely be looking for scores. Like in that podcast as well, I was laughing. Nobody mentioned Peter Harte.
Yeah.
Like Peter Harte can score from anywhere, basically inside the 45. I just think that for me, I think that Errigal, I think that the bookies are giving them slight favourites. Before the two semi-finals, Coola were the favourites. But now that Errigal played the way they did, I suppose they're slight favourites now. But I just think that there is the firepower there. Coola, they will not care who they're playing against. They will say to themselves, we've played the teams. We've played these Dublin clubs that have multiple All-Ireland winners and forwards, and we've played against these best teams in Leinster, and we beat the best team in Connacht now, so I've looked after Niall Murphy, great forwards and stuff like this. They will look at that and then say, with ultimate confidence, they will, and they'll say to themselves, yeah, we will win this, and we'll look after the Camerons, we'll look after Peter Harte, and they'll come up with a system. And again, it'll not be pretty to look at, I'm sure, but again, as you sort of rightly point out, play to the limits of the rules. Maybe this time next year it's a completely different conversation because you're not being able to play 15 behind the ball. But if this is the last time ever that the rules are implemented the way they are now, they will put 15 behind the ball and they will then go at it. If they turn them over, they will go at it, and they'll go at it with speed and power. Yeah, I think it will be interesting, but I do think that Errigal have other boys across the field that can score and still come up with 6, 7, 8, 9 points that can maybe add on if the Camerons do have a quiet day and maybe score 4 or 5 points between them. 13 or 14 points probably would be good enough to win this game.
And obviously, you'd mentioned that Letterkenny game, Paul, and just looking through Errigal's record, and I know speaking to the offer, even in Tyrone this year, they just seem to be able to grind out these results, like bar the Ciaran result where they sort of won easily. They've had to sort of grind out games in Tyrone and Ulster, and obviously Dr. Cook's last week. So they have that resilience there. They have that belief in themselves that they can come through tight games. So it's going to stand to them, you would imagine, coming down the stretch on Sunday.
Yeah, like I would go back to that now. I said at the start, these good games go to extra time, replays, these 1 point wins, they are what gel a team together. For me, if you're winning a match by 1 point, there's far better buzz winning by 1 point than winning by 20. And especially extra time, and especially games where you know you've all worked your hardest, and you're all working together. Like Errigal could have been very easily beaten first round by Clonogh this year, and I suppose if you look at it, everyone in Tyrone will be looking at it and saying, and that'll get confidence from this now next year, and the same keepers. There's Errigal, but I think that Errigal have just continually stepped it up. Like you would think that, and the last couple of years have sort of shown me in Tyrone Championship, you have to be hitting nearly peak the first round of club. You can't just turn around and turn up and expect to win there on the day. And Errigal obviously were in serious shape for that. But the level they played against Crooks was unbelievable. But those other games definitely must give them serious confidence that they know we have went to the well, we've got there, boys have pulled us out of a hole. It hasn't been the Caravans for those inspirational points. It's been Peter McCartan in the Ulster Club final. It's been Peter McCartan then in the All-Ireland semi-final. It's been Joe Goose in the All-Ireland Club semi-final and extra time. Like everyone's talking about the Caravans again, but these other boys are the ones that are chipping in and supporting, and they have serious depth. And I would just be worried of what people are sort of saying, but just locking down the Caravans. There's much more to Errigal than just the Caravans, although they are unbelievable. Like I'm just fascinated every time I watch Derek Canavan in terms of his movement, his hands, his decision making. Rory Canavan has just went up another level as well. Like that pass he had for the goal. Like that, those things are nearly been taken away from Gaelic football now. Like you're always nearly looking for that side pass because it's like that for him was maybe a 9 out of 10 pass or an 8 out of 10 pass, but for somebody else it might be a 5 or a 6 out of 10 pass. But very few players are willing to take that because they're worried about the ball being turned over and go back down the pitch. But it just shows you the level of confidence there is. And again, that confidence comes from these tight games. And I think that might stand Errigal on Sunday.
And final question, Paul, is who do you see coming out on top here? As I mentioned at the start of the show, you'd got experience in Dublin and Tyrone club football, so you know both clubs and both teams fairly well, I'm sure, at this stage. So how do you see it all going?
I think, to keep it short, I think that Errigal are going to pip it. I just have this notion that just in terms of their plan, the way they're managed, like everyone has a scenario in terms of, and you play through these scenarios. What if this happens? What if that happens? I think Errigal must have a list of probably 90 or 100 what ifs that every player knows exactly what's happened. Like, what if we go a man up? What if we're a point down? What do we do? Like, you may think Gavin White kicking that ball away was Gavin White's fault. I don't really necessarily think it is. Like, I can guarantee you there was stuff said in the pitch to put him off. There was guys pressing. They were putting him under pressure by shouting at the referee, the great support from the crowd. There is so much things that is ingrained in the players that all of them seem to know what's going to happen at the exact sort of point in time. And I do think they've got better and better and better. They'll definitely not get the space that they got against Crooks in the final. But again, looking at the pitch, Croke Park, I just think that should suit Errigal. Still think it'll be a seriously take game. I think the way that both teams are going to play, it'll be a bit of a dollar event. It might be something similar to the Kilcoo game. But again, I think that's quite intriguing in how both teams are going to get set up. But I think it'll be low enough scoring. It'll definitely not be as high scoring as the semi-final between Errigal and Crooks. But you'd hope it'll be maybe like a 17-16 game or something like that. But I think it'll be something like maybe a 13-12 or something like that. And I think that Errigal will just pip it by a point or two. So it is. So
it's definitely one to look forward to, Paul. And I know we've covered it obviously with this podcast, and make sure to visit GaelicLife.com as well. We've interviews, features, and previews and everything else. Looking forward to the big game. And of course, the Andy Morgan Cup is already in Ulster. Glen had won it last year, so we're hoping it'll stay in Ulster and Errigal will get their hands on it. And just before we go, Niall Gartland caught up with Peter Harte at the start of the week, so we're going to hear from him now, and he chats to Niall about the run that Errigal have had so far and their excitement about the All-Ireland final on Sunday. So we'll hear from Petey now. And now, Paul, great to hear from you. Thanks for coming on, and we'll hopefully see Errigal get over the line on Sunday.
All the best, Sean. Thanks.
Peter, a brilliant position for you in the club to be in, preparing just days out now for an All-Ireland final. How's the feeling in the club?
It's just funny, you just kind of get ready for the next game, more or less. It's kind of the way you look at it, because you've so little time, you probably don't get to take in maybe the fact you've had such a big win like that. You're just kind of focusing now on getting bodies right and getting ready to go again on Sunday, because you said it's only like 6 days now till game time again. So the tight turnaround just means you kind of forget about everything else and you just go back to getting on the pitch and getting bodies ready and minds ready to go again.
You won a first O'Neill Cup relatively early in your career. I know you've been playing for a few years by 2012, and then you had to wait another decade to win your second medal. So is winning Ulster and getting the latter stages on a national level, is it sort of beyond your wildest dreams in a way? Like, did you expect that these days would ever happen, given it is so notoriously difficult to win for?
I think people in Tyrone in general don't really think like that. You know it when you cover it. Like, you just don't really look past the first round. And I know people reading that in other places might think that sounds a bit stupid, but you don't, because like we seen this year, the first round of the Tyrone Championship was mad. There was very little in any games. So in the back of your head, you always maybe hope that someday things will go right and you get a good run like this. But the reality of the Tyrone Championship and the Ulster Club Championship is it's notoriously hard to win and do well in. It is a bit of a dream, and it's just something it's hard to really take in now because you're in the middle of it, but you're just you're enjoying every day of it.
Yeah, and you come as you were saying there, in terms of throwing being difficult, right from the outset against Pomeroy, apart from the Cardigan game, you seem to have won every game by a point or two, and I suppose that says something about the resilience in the team, and it can't be a coincidence either, Peter.
Maybe not at this stage, but I think chatting a few ones would rather maybe an each year in some stage, but no, look, you just be happy that coming into the game you've been there, so you know what to maybe expect, and thank God, like there's just been different games this year, different boys have stood up and hit great scores to get us over the line, and like to win whatever many games in a row it is in the championship, you need that. Like you've seen it with the great Tyrone teams, great club teams. You need just big moments to kind of get over the line in them games, and thankfully we've had some this year that have helped us get to where we are.
I think the clock was about to tick into 65th or 66th minute against Dr. Coates where you won a free. It was on a 45-metre line, but it was near the sideline. What was going through your head? Because you could have put the ball down, someone could have come out and taken a stab at it, but you decided to square it across the other flank.
I think just on a quick glance, it was maybe like I think we had turned them over, and then I just lifted my head and seen we had a couple of boys on the far side. So you're probably in an autopilot at that stage. You just do what you see, and thank God I found Ogie again, because he again stepped up with a great score. But as I said, in them big moments, you're just probably going and feel more than anything. You're just getting the ball out and getting it going again, and you probably don't really fully think that there's 65 minutes gone. You're not even. You're in the last. You're in the dying embers, but you just kind of do what you think's right at the time. And like I've been playing long enough to know that sometimes them decisions go right and sometimes they go wrong for you, and that's where the game can lie. So thankfully, as I said, it went right for us the weekend. We got to equalise the score and we pushed on.
Yeah, I suppose through my job, I'm lucky enough to be able to sort of mingle them on you after matches, and you can really sense how much it means to everyone, and there's been a few special days like that at this stage, where the entire community seems to be clearing the pitch for the players and whatnot, and I'm sure that's something that you're mindful of and happy about.
They're class memories, and like every community around the country, there's good days and bad days, and first thing across the probably period of your life, there might be more bad days. So when the good days come like that, and you get a chance to be involved with your community and be there and be with them, it is really special. And I think people really do appreciate it. We were lucky enough growing up that we seen Errigal win, particularly myself, 2002. You have them memories, so you knew kind of how special it was back then to see it, and then to see it happening again now. For the likes of myself, probably the latter part of your career, it's just brilliant to be part of them days and to kind of bring that joy to people. It's just class to be part of it.
Yeah, does the club see this as a bit of a process? Because I know an awful lot of lads seem to come through that minor crop about 6 or 7 years ago that won the back-to-back, and I know from listening to previous interviews as well, people are quick to praise previous management teams as well. Point out that it's not just about Enda and Stevie coming in; it's about the likes of Pascal, Adrian, and Mark and whatnot. This just hasn't happened overnight. If you know what I mean.
There's a huge amount of work goes into this. From my first year, and we had Tiffy. I had Tiffy as minor manager, and then first senior manager, and then Peter had us for a few years, and then into McGuckin, Paggy, John McBride, Mark, Adrian, and Enda. And it's just every year counts in terms of you just keep building, and as I said, you hope that someday you're going to get the rewards of a championship, like a Tyrone championship, and a special occasion you may push on Ulster, but it does take that. It takes just years of effort, nothing. Maybe some of the young boys don't see it in our club because they're maybe in their first year or two, and I think this happens every year. But when you've played X amount of years, like some of us, that it doesn't just happen. It just takes years and years of hard work, and you see so many clubs doing it in Tyrone, just bringing boys through each year, and you see the amount of talent that's coming through in Tyrone as well. The Hogan Cup win, under 20s, under 17s, there's lots of clubs doing it well, and thankfully Tyrone probably has a county's benefiting from that too. And I think that's why the intrigue of the Tyrone Championship be so high, because every year there's just good players coming in year on year.
Only an 8-day turnaround plus match, but I suppose you're in the same boat. On the flip side of that, your game went the extra time, and I'm sure there's a lot of tired bodies in the last day or so. But I'm sure the prospect in All-Ireland finals enough to get players back up at it again.
Boys will be tired for a few days, but probably again one of the benefits of playing in Tyrone is like the last few rounds of the league are very fast and on top of each other, and then our championship this year we went for maybe a few weeks in a row with the Clonaux replay and straight into Kitty Clare and so on. So, and then the county final went straight to the Union. So, with a wee bit of experience of just playing week on week, and it does maybe help that you're just in that. As I said earlier, you don't just get a chance to really think too much about what's happened. You just get ready to go again, and with a week. So if you can't get ready in a week for an Ireland final, you might never be ready. So
yeah, and what are you expecting from Coola, big Dublin team, lads like Conor Callaghan and Mick Fitzsimons, and they're very hard to break down from what it seems like. Where like Dr. Cook's maybe operated in a more traditional setup in terms of not playing a sweeper, but I would imagine it'll be quite a different game on Sunday.
Look, we'll try and get our homework done as best we can this week. As I said, with the tight turnaround and the fact you were playing Crooks in the semi-final, you weren't looking at anybody else, just trying to get through that next game. So we'll try and get our homework done. We'll look at what to do. We'll obviously do a lot of stuff well to win that Dublin championship. To beat Kilmacud Crooks in the final of that, and then to win Leinster, tough Leinster too. So. We can just prepare as best we can. That's probably all you can do. I think Cool will be the same. Just they'll prepare their best on, and we'll just go out as hard as we can on Sunday.